You don't get attacked by toxic people randomly. It only feels random because the selection happens long before the first conflict ever appears. They choose you quietly, before words are exchanged, before lines are crossed, before you even realize you were being evaluated. They watch you, not in an obvious way, not with aggression, but with patience, with precision. They study how you move through life the way a hunter studies rhythm, not speed. They observe when you hesitate, when you soften, when you doubt yourself. And the most dangerous part is that they do all of this while pretending to be harmless. Toxic people don't rush in. They map first. They look for openings, emotional openings, behavioral openings, confidence openings. They watch how you react under pressure, how fast you apologize, how quickly you retreat when someone raises their voice, how uncomfortable you get when someone is disappointed in you. They don't attack first, they analyze first, because to them, information is power, and power over you begins with understanding how you break. They pay close attention to what triggers you. They notice the comments that make you defend yourself too quickly, the topics that tighten your chest, the moments your voice lowers or your eyes drop. And once they identify these emotional pressure points, they store them, not emotionally, strategically. They become ammunition. Toxic people never go straight for the throat. That's not how control works. They test. They experiment. A subtle insult wrapped in humor. A boundary nudged just enough to be deniable. A delayed response designed to pull you into overthinking. They're not being careless. They're measuring. Every reaction you give them becomes data. They watch the pace of your emotions, how fast you get angry, how fast you calm down, how long you hold on to pain, how quickly you forgive. Your emotional timing tells them exactly how much space they have to operate without consequences. If you forgive quickly, they know they can repeat the offense. If you stay silent instead of confronting, they know peace matters more than truth. If you rush to explain yourself, they know they can twist narratives until you doubt your own memory. They also watch who you are when you're tired, because exhaustion removes polish. Fatigue removes defense. When you're drained, they see your raw patterns. They see if you become more agreeable, if you stop pushing back, if you let things slide just to avoid more stress. To them, your low-energy moments are windows, moments when resistance is minimal and observation is effortless. They even track what kind of compliments affect you. If flattery lowers your guard, they weaponize charm. If validation creates loyalty, they offer it generously, until attachment forms. If attention makes you feel seen, they flood you with it until you confuse it with care. The goal is never to make you feel good. The goal is to make you predictable. And nothing reveals your inner patterns faster than your excuses. Toxic people love your excuses, because excuses tell them the story you tell yourself. If your excuses are filled with self-blame, they know doubt is your weak point. If your excuses are about protecting others, they know guilt is your leverage. If your excuses revolve around avoiding conflict, they know you'll tolerate almost anything to keep the peace. They also study who you fear disappointing. If you fear authority, they position themselves above you. If you fear disappointing loved ones, they manufacture closeness. If you fear disappointing yourself, they disguise criticism as help or motivation. Nothing is random. Every move they make is calculated from patterns you already revealed. They listen to what you complain about, not to understand, but to measure. They want to know what drains you, what makes you feel small, what makes you feel unheard. Because once they identify the emotional gaps in your life, they step into them, only to later use those same gaps to control you. The most chilling part? They often understand your patterns faster than you do. They see the loops you repeat unconsciously, the wounds you haven't addressed, the behaviors you justify without questioning. And because they recognize these patterns before you gain awareness, they gain the upper hand before conflict ever begins. Their observation isn't passive, it's preparation. Preparation for the moment they decide to strike. When they're confident, they can destabilize you without resistance. But here's the truth that changes everything. Once you understand how they study you, you stop being readable. And the moment you stop being predictable, the power dynamic shifts. Toxic people panic when your reactions no longer follow the script they memorized. They feel threatened when your emotional responses change, because control isn't maintained through strength, it's maintained through prediction. So you begin by slowing your emotional tempo. You stop reacting immediately. You stop explaining reflexively. You stop defending yourself on command. When they provoke, you stay neutral. When they guilt you, you don't rush to clarify. When they confuse, you don't get defensive. Neutrality destroys data, and toxic people hate losing data. Then you change how you handle boundaries. You decide calmly. You say no without apology. You exit conversations when manipulation appears. The hesitation they relied on disappears, and suddenly they don't know where the limits are. Your silence changes too. Not the silence of suppression, but the silence of clarity. Silence that is chosen, measured, unrevealing. Toxic people depend on emotional oversharing. It gives them material. When you become selective, observant, and restrained, their advantage collapses. And then comes the most destabilizing shift of all. Your self-story changes. You stop explaining your worth. You stop proving your intentions. You stop needing their approval. Your identity becomes internal, and toxic people cannot control what they cannot rewrite. As you become less predictable, they become exposed. They escalate. They grow irritated. They push harder. Not because they're strong, but because they're losing control. And that's when you finally see them clearly. Not the charm, not the mask, the desperation underneath. Their attack was never about you. It was about preserving the illusion that they were above you. When your patterns change, that illusion collapses. You stop engaging their games. You stop negotiating distortions. You respond only to reality. They can only attack the version of you they studied. They cannot attack the version of you that evolves. And once you understand this, everything changes. Awareness becomes armor. Calm becomes strategy. Self-respect becomes a boundary they cannot cross. They don't know how to attack what they cannot read, and that is how you take your power back.